Hey folks, thanks for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel, an unapologetically left-leaning podcast that explores hockey at its best and worst and has nothing to do with piracy on the Caribbean Main in the 17th century. My name is Benjamin. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan who still has hope, and I'm an Ottawa Charge fan who's extremely hopeful. And hey, welcome to the Neutral Zone Hotel. Thanks for checking in with us. Here to ensure you have a wonderful stay is a couple of my colleagues, starting with Trevor.
Hi, everybody. It's Trevor. My pronouns are he, him, the regretful Vancouver Canucks fan, and the very hopeful team I will not mention just yet because that's going to be later on.
And we also got SJ with us.
Hello, my name is SJ. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a trepidatious Seattle Kraken fan, and also a very hopeful Everett Silvertips fan, and also possibly some other team that apparently is forbidden for me to say.
That's right. The Forbidden Team. I guess we can start with that. Do we want to talk about the Forbidden Team, SJ?
Yeah, so we are recording on Tuesday, so it hasn't been officially announced yet, but word is that just like we got the announcement for Trevor's Forbidden Team last week, we're getting a PWHL Seattle team, expansion team. The press conference will be tomorrow. So, yesterday or even days ago, as you listen to this, at Climate Pledge Arena. I'm extremely excited. I am going to put down my season ticket deposit as soon as I can. Trevor, are you as excited as I am?
Sorry, can you ask that question one more time? Can you phrase it, Trevor? How excited are you for this?
Trevor, don't break the levels. John will hurt you.
Trevor, how excited are you for this? He's running across the room, folks. Yep. He got as far away from the microphone as he could. Very proud of him.
That's good. That's good.
Very, very excited. Holy smokes. I was, luckily enough, I just finished my work day and my coworker decided to pull into a Burger King because we were hungry. Right as the clock struck 11 and I stood at my order, so I immediately pulled up my phone for the YouTube press conference. Tessa Bunham, fantastic host. That was great. Cracked some fun jokes here and there. But most importantly, it was just so heartwarming to see that little team of like 9 and 10-year-old girls showing up with their little signs talking about how we want to bring a team. And then one of their players makes just this lovely little speech talking about how important that PWHL takeover tour game was to them. And even more so, that this little 9-year-old girl gets to be the one to announce that we in Vancouver got a PWHL team. Wonderful.
It was really a well-done announcement. I thought the Vancouver Angels, I think that was the team. It was really well done. They like rocked the pre-written speech and everything. So
And then the nice subtle touch too that I didn't even notice the first time, but all the girls, as soon as the one announces that we got a team, they all flip their signs around and say, instead of saying like bring the PWHL here, they all say we did it, we got one.
Yay.
And yes, so within an hour, I did put down my deposit for 2 tickets for season tickets. And especially too, there's a lot to look forward to with Vancouver. Getting the Pacific Coliseum is big. There's a lot of history in that building. It's where the Canucks first started playing. Held the first Stanley Cup run they had there. It held the Giants for a while, including the Vancouver Giants' one Memorial Cup victory. And like it's a pretty decent barn, 16K, but most importantly, PWHL Vancouver is the primary tenant in that building. We get our logo at center ice from day one, and everyone else has to work around us.
That's cool.
Very
Even if
exciting.
it will be a placeholder logo, probably for the
yeah.
first year.
I mean, the other thing too, so there's been the logos for the expansion ones got leaked. And actually, I want to float this with you too. These two look a lot better than the original logos from last year for the other 6 teams. Is it just me, or do you agree?
Oh, yeah. They definitely fancied it up with the expansion logos. I think they did a really nice job. And I'm excited. Vancouver is getting apparently a really nice blue as their primary color. It looks like Seattle is going to get a green. Makes sense.
A nice kind of teal, somewhat similar to what the Kraken have. A little off.
No. It's different. It's very different.
Yeah.
The Kraken are very much a blue team. This is distinctly a green, and I think it looks really nice. It'll be really interesting to see what else they do with the branding. I'm sure that they're going to have more than one color, for example. But that's all down the road a bit.
Yeah. To that point, Vancouver did announce that their 2 colors would be Pacific Blue, roll eyes dramatically, and cream, which does makes me excited because let's be honest, out of all the 6 road jerseys, Montreal's is by far the best, and that cream really accents it. So
Out of all the jerseys, Montreal's is by far the best.
Yeah.
Just period.
Yeah.
So if Vancouver can utilize that cream to good effect as well, I think they could have one that can rival. But that's also bias speaking, I'll be honest.
I mean, you're going to buy...
That's a year down the road.
You're going to buy a jersey regardless.
Oh, yeah, day one.
No, he's going to buy 2 jerseys. He's going to buy the placeholder jersey, and then once they announce the name, he's going to get that one as well.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
But, no, I'm very excited. I've got my lovely girlfriend, who was also watching the stream with me. I got to surprise the heck out of her because we were texting back and forth, and after the announcement, she's like, "Oh, I wish I could go to that first game." And all of a sudden, I responded. So right as she was sending me that's when I was doing my season ticket deposit. So all of a sudden, I just responded with, "Hey, Kira, ... And she's like, "Yes." Sent her the screenshot of the season tickets and just the freak out.
Cool.
That's great.
But so yeah, definitely excited to bring her. Definitely excited to either have her or have me bring her 5-year-old daughter to a game, which that's the thing I'm most excited about, is to get to introduce her to hockey in this way.
Cool.
Should be a lot of fun, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm really excited for having a pro league in town that I can actually afford to attend on a regular basis, and have families afford to attend. It's gonna be nice. Although the Kraken did notably slash their season ticket prices this year, quite surprisingly.
Seattle, unlike other certain markets, Vancouver learns from their mistakes and learns from how bad their seasons are and adjusts their prices accordingly.
I don't think that the initial prices were a mistake. I don't think this is something they're learning from. I do. I'm
not saying the prices are a mistake. I'm saying roster build and how the season went is a mistake.
They're still selling out their barn, but what they're doing is they're selling out their tickets, and then they have empty seats, and that's not a situation that they want to continue either.
It's like watching some of those late Pittsburgh games where they have 17,000 people, officially maybe 7,000 people there.
Yeah.
It was rough in Pittsburgh this year for attendance.
Yeah.
The rumor, at least for Seattle, is that they are going to be playing out of CPA, right?
Well, they have made an arena deal with OVG, Oakview Group. Oakview Group manages 2 arenas in the Seattle area. They manage Climate Pledge Arena, and they manage Angel of the Winds up in Everett. I believe everything I've heard is that Climate Pledge Arena will be their primary barn, that they will make every effort to play out of. I don't know if that means maybe they play the occasional game in Everett or something like that, but certainly the plan seems to be CPA. I don't know what that means for practice facility, if they've made a deal with the Kraken. The Seattle doesn't have a lot of practice ice sheets available. So if they can't go to KCI, which, I mean, there's a lot of demand for those ice sheets is the only thing. So if they make a deal with the Kraken to to practice out of KCI, it will push a lot of the community skate out of that building, which will be sad.
Thank you for reminding me too, because you mentioned practice facilities, because I do think it's important to mention too that Vancouver's PWHL team has a practice rink as well, because on the grounds of the PNE close to the Pacific Coliseum is the Agrodome, which is where they're going to use, which is also very funny considering the Vancouver Canucks don't have a practice rink.
Where do the Canucks practice out of?
Rogers Arena.
What interesting. Yeah,
Yep.
they don't.
They practice on the main ice sheet. That's wild.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, it makes it tough for the building to just schedule around that. Do you guys don't have like a basketball team in that or
That's
anything
correct.
though?
We
That
do
helps.
not anymore. It lasted all of 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it a lot harder if you keep having to put on a hard court.
Well, because
transition the
Lauren
building,
knows the Canucks have been wanting to push for one, but a certain someone is too cheap to pony up some cash to get one. So,
Well, I mean, it sounds like they could have just been practicing at the Agrodome.
well, the problem is kind of the commute for that, because like Rogers is at least situated nicely downtown, easy to transit to if need be. Pacific Coliseum is decidedly not, nor the Agrodome. I would imagine that once the season starts, they're probably going to run some extra bus lines up and down Renfrew Street, because there is a SkyTrain station on Renfrew, but it's more, it's about like 10 to 15 blocks out.
Oh, that's a lot.
But
It's over a mile.
But in terms of the actual like stadium situation, it's basically buses or driving, so it's not the greatest situation. But
It is 3 kilometers from the nearest SkyTrain station, so hopefully they do busing.
Yeah.
I mean, they already do have several buses that go past it, but I'm just hoping they'll do like extra shuttles here and there.
Event busing.
Yeah. Although, again, with traffic being presumably as bad as it will be, we'll see. Although I have heard from friends who went and saw Giants games back when the Giants were getting 7,000 to 8,000 that like they were kind of used to it. So we'll see.
There's also like direct highway access like right there.
Yeah.
So it's not the best place in the world.
It's literally,
but it's not the worst.
Drive left out of it and then drive like half a kilometer up, turn right, and you're on a freeway. So yeah, not too bad in that regard for sure. But I just don't want to drive. I do that enough in my day-to-day life.
That's fair.
You should be able to transit. Absolutely.
Yep. It would be nice if I could transit to games, charge games, but it's the same deal, and they don't add extra busing to get there, which stinks.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about CPA is that I can transit there, and they should be covered under the arena deal, the arena has with the monorail. So to like make it free monorail rides at least.
Ooh, very nice.
Monorail.
I mean, the monorail is a very silly thing. It is 90 seconds of being on a train.
But it's 90 seconds of being on a train.
Yeah, it's very silly. I mean, if you ever go to Seattle and you're like, I guess you can ride the monorail.
You're right on, like, you just have to do one change to get on the monorail, right?
Yeah, I just got to change it at Westlake Station.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not bad at all. The worst part is like, if you you have to go up to get to you get off at Westlake on the light rail, and then the monorail station is like 4 stories above you. So you have to like go upstairs, right? And if you go up through the mall, you can take the escalators. But if you accidentally follow the wrong group of people, you'll end up in the stairwell, and then you die halfway up because I'm out of shape.
Just like we died in Montreal when we went up that random staircase.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's we
went down. We went to the Bell Center, Trevor. We went down all these stairs, and it took us to the wrong side of the Bell Center.
Oh no!
Oh
so
my
then
god!
It's like your train station is back up halfway, so we had to go up in like 3-4 stories.
Oh,
And
no.
surprisingly, neither of us died.
We did
was
have
close.
to rest. We did have to rest.
Yeah.
We were not the only ones.
No, we
No, I
were
don't
like
doubt it.
at the top of that staircase, like, okay, just give me a minute. Like it was rough.
I demanded more time, but I think SJ was appreciative of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we moved very, very slowly down the tunnel to get to the train station.
Yeah. Fun times.
And the other thing too now is PWHL Vancouver does make a West Coast like hockey week in Canada a lot more plausible in terms of having like WHL, NHL, AHL, PWHL, and even maybe BCHL action if one really wanted to. Like that could presumably be like a decent week-long trip at some point.
Yeah. There's gonna be a heck ton of hockey in Vancouver. It's very exciting.
Very much so.
All right, Trevor.
Yeah.
You know which players probably aren't moving, the foundational players. Name one PWHL player, other than the ones that probably aren't moving, that you would like to see wearing the Pacific green and cream, or the Pacific blue and cream next season.
Man, if you hadn't said that, I would have said Jen Gardner in a heartbeat, but she's staying put.
She might not be. She's not foundational.
Okay. Her with a bullet.
Jen Gardner. Okay. SJ, what about you? What about for the sea green and white?
Gosh, there are a lot of great players. I'd like to see Abby Murphy. Can I pick somebody who hasn't even declared yet?
I mean, I guess that's allowed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good foundation.
Gwyneth
player.
Phillips, can we steal your backup goalie? I legit think she would be a great expansion pick. If Ottawa doesn't protect both their goalies.
Doesn't feel like they'll be able to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we think that there's probably going to be like one goalie each that can get protected.
I think expansion is going to be amazing for the goalies because
100%.
there are some great goalies stuck in backup jobs or like in third or even just not even in the league right now. It's going to be awesome. It's also going to be at the same time, the offense should go up a little bit, so it's going to be good. I'm really excited to see just like everything that's going to happen around, like who are they going to hire to GM? Who's going to be the coaches? Right? It's so fun.
Well, this also open the door for players to maybe jump from the European Women's Leagues to PWHL roles.
Michelle
it's 50 new
Karvinen.
jobs.
Michelle Karvinen declared for the draft today. I saw it. So
Nice.
There are some people coming out of the NCAA who are looking really exciting.
I was going to say, SJ, it's the PWHL. There's a lot of people who've come out and that. Come on. But
and we welcome them in Seattle.
absolutely. Seattle is one of the queerest places in the United States. So let's go.
So. I'm trying.
SJ single-handedly queering the entire Seattle Metroplex. Way to go. They did it. They did it, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary listeners.
That's right.
There's going to be 50 new jobs, right?
Yep.
That's a lot. That is fully 33% of the existing jobs. The NHL has not seen expansion like that since the 67 expansion. Even the 1980 expansion where they added the 4 teams from the WHL, because that was 17 to 21, right? That's closer to 25%. This is a lot of jobs coming in. There are still some European stars who have not yet declared and didn't, like Eliza Holopainen in Finland, for example, is someone who could come over and become a mainstay on a roster. But I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see which goaltenders get targeted. I agree. Gwyneth Phillips has probably played herself into contention. Carla Pesvarova I think is another one.
Yeah, she's been
She had
great.
an excellent game the other day. So I would not be surprised to see either of them as starters somewhere on the West Coast. I would not be surprised to see a couple foundational players move, and I'm thinking specifically New York is going to want to move at least one of their 3 foundational players.
Well, they're going to want to move. They're going to expose Abby Rock if they're smart. That doesn't mean that they'll be able to move her.
Well, what they want to do is get her off their roster so they can afford to retain Sarah Fillier's talents.
Are you allowed to? My question is, are you allowed to trade picks yet? Because if they can put a pick in as a sweetener to have someone take an expansion, that would be really worth it for them.
They were allowed to trade picks last year after the season ended, so maybe that'll be allowed as part of expansion. I don't know.
I actually do have 2 questions for you, Benjamin. One like more of a personal one, and more of a general one for our audience. The personal one is obviously, you've been able to watch this league closer than most. How do you feel as a current and existing fan and one who's been watching games? How do you feel about this Western expansion? And more importantly, for all of our listeners who, maybe they haven't been on the West Coast, who are excited about this news but haven't been able to attend a game, or, like you've been a season ticket holder since day one for Ottawa. What can we as season ticket holders or future season ticket holders look forward to in terms of obviously the hockey and the games itself, but also just maybe even some of the perks and like what are some of the fun reasons to be an STH?
Okay, yeah. So first of all, I'm excited for expansion. Ottawa is going to lose some players. Like I think Gwyneth Phillips is definitely one who's going to go. I would, depending on how many players we're allowed to protect, like I would not be surprised to see Rania Savalainen being a target. She's had a monster year.
She has been so good.
I would legitimately protect her above Emily Clark. I would expose Brianne Jenner because I think she'll just tell the teams don't pick me because I'll just retire. Which is very funny, but there are some people that's happened before. I mean, that's how Guy Lafleur, I think it was, ended up playing for the North Stars for a moment.
He was picked by the North Stars, but he didn't play for them. Like he retired before coming back a couple of years later.
I think that was at the end of his time. I don't remember exactly, but basically, well, that was the 92 expansion draft.
That was his second retirement.
Remind me to tell you about that, SJ. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. So yes, some great players from Ottawa are going to move on, but with 25 or 50 new jobs added, some incredible players are coming up, and they're going to get better opportunities than they got in the first 2 years of the league. That's wonderful. Wouldn't be surprised to see some familiar faces from year one come back, just because there's going to be a few more spots available, and with the likelihood that the competition is not as high, with that likelihood, I think we have a good chance of seeing some more scoring from people who maybe didn't quite succeed in year one. As a season ticket holder, you get all sorts of cool stuff. So you get a discount on merchandise. You get a discount on additional tickets. As a first-year season ticket holder, your price is better protected. So my season tickets are cheaper than the equivalent season tickets from somebody who started in year 2. And my renewal for next year is quite a bit cheaper.
Nice.
I get 57% off on playoff games.
Wow.
So my playoff tickets are roughly $45 a seat. They'll be selling for about $90, $95.
Cool.
And I'm allowed to add up to 8 tickets to my playoffs. So my buddy Phil and his wife and their daughter, they will be coming to every playoff game with us.
Awesome.
Cool.
Shout outs to Phil. Phil was cool. I liked him.
Yeah, Phil's a great guy.
Yeah.
So that's great. There are usually a couple meet and greets every year. There are open practices. We used to do signings, but now they don't do signings for the public in Ottawa after games. They now bring in, small children for signings, and that's because it was In my opinion, it was a fucking mess. It was the same 30 superfans every week, just trying to get signatures from the players on whatever new shit they had, and not letting the little girls who are there to see their new heroes get the attention, that they deserve. So I completely supported that. And a couple of the superfans I know were really pissed off, and I'm like, they only allow them to sign for 15 minutes. Like in the CBA, they're only allowed to do a 15-minute signing. It's very limited because anytime that they do more than a certain amount of work, they have to be paid an hourly wage, right?
Yeah.
So like the STH events have been pretty limited as a result. Contractually, I think they only have to do 2 a year, plus one signing or 2 signings per player or something like that. So they do limit them, but you still get all sorts of cool stuff. The open practices are a lot of fun. They don't actually practice super hard. They do fun little drills, and then there's usually a meet and greet after. Yeah, I don't know. Like I just feel like it's a really good package, and it's probably not going to be all that much money.
Yeah, I should mention too, with the Vancouver one, they did mention there'll be like a bonus gift, and I'm wondering if it's going to be very similar to the toque that you got in year 1
and year 2.
Oh, did you get another one?
Yeah, I have one for SJ that I forgot to give them while they were here, and I keep forgetting to put in the mail.
It's okay.
Oh man, you've got something to send to SJ too, huh?
I gotta do it soon before the de minimis exemption is gone. I don't want to have to pay stupid tariffs on a fucking hat.
Yeah, that's a good point. Regardless, no, thank you for that information. This will help a fair bit, because I actually I was talking with a couple friends as well who were kind of on the fence about even just like putting in a deposit for it. So this, I think, could help for sure.
I am a little worried about the fact that I already bought a 12-game pack for the Silver Tips next year, and I'm like worried about overlap. So I'm over here like I hope that they put out the PWHL schedule before I have to do game selection for the Silver Tips.
Is the Silver Tips one is that like a flex pack? Like, can you adjust the dates accordingly, or are your 12 locked in?
It's flexible-ish.
SJ,
What?
just pick nights this crack and have a game.
That's a good point. Oh, look at the big brain.
Because I think it's very unlikely that the schedule will be out early, given the second. Like basically, they have to wait for the NHL schedule, the AHL schedule, the OHL schedule, the NCAA schedule, and wherever New York ends up, if they don't stay in New York, which I think is looking increasingly more likely.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. I do also try to avoid weekday games.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Speaking of New York, I guess we'll talk about this before we move on. What do you guys think the chances are that New York's in a different market next year?
I feel very likely. They are not getting enough people into that Jersey barn to just to offset the cost of that arena. It doesn't make any sense to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think Detroit?
It's all about the arena availability. I really think it's just going to come back to like the arena situation that they can negotiate. So, and they're not. I mean, I think they might. It would work in Little Caesars, but they also have a basketball team. Going into, I don't know that they really want to be in a 25 or 3,500 person barn. Maybe temporarily, who knows?
The other options in Detroit are Big Boy Arena, and I think it would be very ironic for them to be playing in Big Boy Arena.
That would be very funny.
That is, Big Boy Arena is home of what's the name?
And this is like, and I don't think it's just the, like, is there a barn? But I do think that barn needs to meet a certain standard of, like, it needs to not be a falling down piece of crap as well.
So Big Boy Arena is the current home of the Motor City Rockers in the Federal Prospects Hockey League, which we learned about from
Will.
Yep.
Shout
Thank
out
you.
to Will.
Shout outs to Will.
Shout outs. Friend Will.
The Rockers have an amazing logo.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Which is kind of a thing in the FPHL. Mm-hmm. It seats 3,500 plus standing. The other option, of course, is USA Hockey Arena, which is 3,500 plus standing. And the facilities there are quite nice, as it is. That's where they train the future hockey stars of USA men's hockey.
Yeah.
Assuming, of course, they could get the permission to play there. So if they don't mind playing at an arena like that in Detroit for a couple years, then I think it's going to be full steam ahead for Detroit. Because it's not just about the size of the arena, it's about how many people you can put in. It's about how much it costs to get in that arena.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm just picturing, what if you swap the arenas around? You have the U.S. National development team playing out of Big Boy Arena.
That'd be very funny.
That'd be pretty funny.
Cole Caulfield isn't allowed in that arena.
That's why they had to move the USNDTP to USA Hockey Arena, because
that's right.
No Coles allowed at Big Boy.
That's right.
All right.
Very small.
Other than that, I mean, unless you're going to try another major city like Chicago and try to get them into one of the unused arenas there, it's tough to find another American arena.
It's so notable. I think it's really notable that they didn't take a takeover game to Chicago this year.
Mm-hmm. I think that was one that we were all banking on.
We were. I was surprised. I was really surprised.
I really kind of now want to go back to our episode trying to determine where those were going to be and just see how right we were on some of them and how wrong we were on others.
I mean, we threw everything at the wall. Everything.
Even then, they still surprised us with a couple of them. Like, none of us said Raleigh.
I am genuinely so surprised that they decided to do Western expansion this year. I was shocked when I heard it was going to be Vancouver and Seattle. Just
Lord knows we've all had several discussions about this.
Yeah.
Both on the podcast and in cars.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not an oracle of these things at all. Yeah.
I mean, I first heard a rumor about it some months ago. I'm not surprised, because I think one of the things they wanted, if they wanted to take advantage of the largest crowds, and Vancouver gives them that, Seattle gave them the second largest crowd in the United States, which I think is notable. They wanted to take advantage of adding teams that were within bus distance of each other, because that reduces their operational costs, which is why I think it wasn't Denver in expansion round 1. And I think they wanted to prove they're a national or a continental, I guess, league. So if you are only going to operate in the northeastern part of the United States and kind of southeastern Ontario and Quebec, you're not a national league. Those are very large hockey markets. The 7 p.m. weeknight on the Pacific Coast time slot, there is value in adding that. So I am not surprised for all of those reasons. It is, I think, a little bit more of a business expenditure than maybe we were expecting, but the Walters have proven they're willing to spend a bunch of money on this thing.
They're
pouring money. Player salaries.
Pouring money into the league. Well, at the end of the day, the player salaries are the biggest expense.
I think that's not true. I think the player. I do not believe the player salaries are going to be that much of a percentage of the take. Let's put it that way. And I think that operational costs of the league itself are going to be significantly higher, especially considering they're doing all their own broadcasts. Like player salaries, like we know kind of exactly what they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we want to talk about PWHL expansion? Are we good to move on?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Sid, you got anything?
Nope.
Cool. Then we're going to take a quick break, folks. Thanks so much. Hey, while we are moving to break, why don't you go ahead and hang out with us a little bit more? You can follow us on Instagram or Bluesky at Neutral Zone Hotel. You can hit up our website, neutralzonehotel.com, put a /Discord on that to join our Discord and chat with us. It's free. We don't paywall our Discord, unlike some other hockey podcasts. We're on YouTube at neutralzonehotel.com. Leave us some comments. As always, 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. Thumbs up. It helps the podcast grow. And you can always tell a friend. We would love to have your friends come and listen to us blather on like the fools we are. Folks, we'll be right back.
We interrupt this podcast with a breaking news bulletin. Hey there, it's John here with your breaking news update for April 30th at 9 p.m. Pretty much everything SJ said about the PWHL expansion to Seattle was correct. They will have a team. That team will play at Climate Pledge Arena, and they will be practicing at the Seattle Kraken's practice facility. And now we take you back to our regularly scheduled podcast.
All right, folks, we're back. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're going to move on and talk about the coaching carousel in the NHL. So when we last checked in, Greg Cronin, Peter Laviolette had been fired, and Dan Bilesma had been fired. That's on top of the in-season firings that occurred, which I believe were
Boston, Chicago, and Philadelphia.
Yeah, and St. Louis technically, but they got their guy immediately.
Yeah, I'm not counting him.
Yeah. I had to think about Boston because it's Jim Montgomery.
Joe Sacco.
Joe Sacco was the interim.
The interim.
Yeah. Was Joel Ward the interim in Philly?
No.
It was Brad Shaw.
Oh my God.
John Layfield himself.
And
There's a
Anders
name.
Sorensen is the interim in Chicago.
Right.
Anders.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like any of those are going to stick.
No.
I mean,
There's a reason they had
possibly not.
interim.
So the big news today is that Rick Tocchet declined the contract extension offered by the Vancouver Canucks and will become a quote-unquote free agent. Where do we think Rick Tocchet is going?
to
Philadelphia.
Are we sure? Because I hear Boston might be interested in his services.
Tocchet's got ties to Philadelphia.
I'm-
And I can imagine Philly, that
you
whole
missed one.
mindset.
I know I did.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. You didn't want to say his name.
I mean,
We're going to get there, but I want to talk about Tocchet first.
A lot of people are still linking Tocchet to Seattle. I know a lot of Seattle fans want Tocchet. I personally have zero opinion on that. But apparently his kid lives in the area. I don't know.
I kinda
And
wonder
he's
if he-
tight with Botterill. Whatever.
kind of wonder if maybe he'd go to the Rangers and go reunite with JT Miller.
Well, I don't know. I've also heard him linked to Pittsburgh. Who knows? I think he's going to get some competitive offers.
There's been reports starting from Rick Dollywall, who is a very respected Vancouver reporter, saying Canucks made Tocchet a terrific offer and one that would have been considered a top offer around the league, and Tocchet turned it down.
Well, he didn't want to
So-
stay in Vancouver.
Yeah, so is it a case of that he didn't want to stay, or is other offers going to be even more than that one?
Well, I don't think that I'm not going to go out and assume there was tampering. So I'm sure he figured he would get something competitive, but especially with all of the openings right now, and that he could kind of pick what his preference was.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he's still under contract until the season rolls over on July 1st. I'm sure they will give him permission to talk to other teams.
Yep.
But they did get first kick at the can. Here's the thing that I don't get. Rick Tocchet has coached for 9 seasons in the NHL. He's won 1 playoff round. I understand that he coached in Tampa when they were bad, and he coached in Arizona when they were Arizona. But this feels to me, and I know he won the Jack Adams last year, Trevor, and had a very good year.
Oh, you're not going to hear me complaining about it.
But man, doesn't this feel like it's all about, like, you hear all this hullabaloo about a new meal. It's like this, they give this fancy name. You show up, you sit down, and it's just like fucking French fries. Ain't that what this feels like to you? Like, this is why I wanted to wait on talking about Mike Sullivan, because Mike Sullivan's available, and no, we're not hearing anything like the level of competitiveness.
I'm hearing the Rangers desperate. I'm hearing the Rangers and Boston are going to make very competitive deals to Mike Sullivan. What I'm hearing about Mike Sullivan is that he will probably go for the most.
Oh yeah,
like he's going to make more money than Tocchet.
Yeah.
And
Sullivan, unlike Tocchet, has the resume to back it up.
Oh, I mean, he has a long time with coaching Sidney Crosby.
Minor details.
No, when I started watching hockey, Rick Tocchet was coaching the TNT panel. And then he got, he got back into the league. He got that Vancouver job, and everybody is suddenly talking about him like he is the lost scion of NHL head coaches, when he was like literally couldn't get a job only a few years before. So I think there seems to be fully a 1/4 of the NHL is looking for a head coach this year. Fully 1/4. The average coaching tenure in the NHL is now slightly over 2 years. There are now only 2 or 3 coaches who have been in their current roles for any kind of time, and they're like John Cooper, Jared Bednar, right? These guys who have recently won cups. Except I would put in exception like Andre Tourigny, who's technically a new coach in Utah, but not really, because they brought him over from Arizona, and he hasn't won shit, but they've been Arizona for a billion years. And I think that even if Utah doesn't make the playoffs next year, there's a real chance that Tourigny loses his job. There seems to be a real hunger for experience this year around the league. I know that like Seattle seems to be banging that drum. They have done, Bilesbo was an experienced coach, but he had been out of the league for a long time. And they gave him 1 year, and they were like, this sucks, we hate this. And they kicked him out the door. And then they brought in Hackstall. It was his second, as their first coach, it was his second kick at the can. He hadn't been in the league. He wasn't in demand. Everybody was very surprised when they hired him. And they gave him 2 years, 3 years, and they kicked him out the door. And there seems to be this big feeling now that what they want is like someone who's going to right the ship, right? That they're flailing. But they're looking for somebody who is both experienced and in demand, but at the same time, they just fired a coach after 1 year. How attractive is Seattle going to be to these guys who are already in demand? It's a real question. So I think we are going to see some first-time coaches in the league again this year, if only because so much of the league, 8 teams, are looking. But I think these guys like Sullivan and Tocchet, these guys who have kind of been around the block, I wouldn't be surprised if Laviolette gets another job right away, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gerard Gallant get another kick at the can. Quenneville is probably, we know Quenneville is getting interviews. You know, he's probably back in the league this year. And he's going to get hired by a team who's willing to take the PR hit. So it's just a very strange mood around the league this summer. And I think everybody's really nervous.
Martin St. Louis is the 5th most tenured coach in the NHL if you include Andre Tourigny's time in Arizona. Mm-hmm. That feels wrong to me.
That's...
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
wild.
You fried my brain right there.
It's wild, yeah. No, everybody has moved. They're all playing musical chairs.
Yep.
Look at it this way, Trevor. It's April 29th right now.
Mm-hmm.
Almost half the league has had a hiring or will have a hiring since 1 year ago. Starting with Travis Green in May 7th.
Wow.
And if I had made this comment last week, it would have been exactly half, because that's the 1 year anniversary of Lindy Ruff in Buffalo. There's a disaster.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh,
who could have seen that coming?
Oh, Ruff in Buffalo there's a man who they need a coach. They're not going to get one, but they need a better coach.
They need to put Old Yeller down. I feel like we made that joke before.
It might be a bit we've done.
Oh, yeah, just like Buffalo and bringing back Lindy Ruff.
Heyo. I would say, I think you're right. I think Quenneville's back. That sucks, and it shouldn't happen. And if you are a fan of a team and you care about these things and you get that rumor, like the Ducks have, at them on social media and say, hey, this fucking sucks. I don't want to go watch games if you hire this guy who clearly has not learned his lesson. I've said before, I think there is a path back for a guy like him. I don't think he's met that bar. And he's like a multimillionaire who has won 3 Stanley Cups and has done everything that you could ask for except for take Scotty Bowman's record. So he doesn't need to come back. And I don't know that the firings are done, and that's the crazy thing. Like, Lou Lamoriello's replacement could very well want to clear house and move on from Patrick Waugh.
We can still see, if some teams go out after the first round, we can still see firings from first round exits. That happens all the time.
If the Oilers go out, you might think Stan Bowman didn't hire Chris Knobloch. Mm-hmm. He could go kick him out the door.
If LA loses to Edmonton 4 years in a row, do you think Jim Hiller then gets booted?
Jim Hiller has made some very striking coaching mistakes this series that have not covered him in glory.
Jim Hiller, I mean, it's tough to say because he is only a season and a half in. But as we've seen, that could be a best before date, like 1.5 seasons.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do we anticipate any more GMs getting to the can?
Oh.
I'm going to be honest. I don't really pay attention to GMs. Like, when one gets fired, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. But, like, it's not something I necessarily... Like, if you asked me the GM of half the teams, I would be like, like, it would take me a bit, for sure. So, I got no answer to that.
I mean, I think that if they were going to do it, Kevin Adams is the obvious choice, but it's not going to happen. The Pagulas aren't going to do anything.
I think I make more money than Kevin Adams does, which explains why he has job security.
Something like that. And then, let's see. Yzerman seems to be safe for another year.
I mean, heck, you could say Ron Francis should be, but he seems to be...
Well, they kicked him upstairs. They kicked him upstairs.
Fair enough.
So he's now safe forever because you don't get fired as president of hockey ops. You just decide to go do something else.
Yeah. I think next year is going to be the bloodbath for GMs.
Yeah, it could be.
Because it feels like Boston there's a mandate to make the playoffs next year. It feels like Detroit is getting close to that mandate to make the playoffs.
If New York has another bad year, Chris Drury will go out the door.
I mean, I hope so.
Even after he just got re-upped for another couple of years.
Oh, yeah. Dolan doesn't care.
Oh, I know. It's just
that reminds me. I was going to write As the Puck Spins on Chris Drury getting extended after everyone in the team basically said he was a piece of shit. So,
I was just thinking about Nashville, but just because Trotz has been he was so bad in his first year. But the fact is that they're coming into new ownership in Nashville. Like that homophobic governor is taking over the team. So I'm blanking on his name. I don't remember anymore. But I figure he'll get at least a few years before to see if they can right the ship in Nashville. And I mean, honestly, they just need to rebuild. But they signed those free agents. I don't know what they're doing.
How long do we think the leash is on Kyle from Chicago?
I think he's got another few years.
I can see like one. If Chicago makes a decent step forward, I can see him getting another couple. But I think he's got like one more bad year left in him before they're like, all right, what's going on?
St. Louis already has a succession plan.
Everyone else has also kind of made significant GM changes in recent years that I can at least think of.
I think Kevin Cheveldayoff may be actually invincible.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm pretty sure he's going to die in that job.
We
did say the same thing about Lou. That's true.
But at least Cheveldayoff's got success on the ice, unlike Lou.
Well, Lou had success on the ice. You know, it's been a few years, but they made those Eastern Conference Finals, and that bought him several years he didn't really deserve.
That wasn't Lou. That was Barry Trotz knowing how to coach the heck out of a defensive system.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, as a GM, you get to take credit for your coaches.
Who hired Barry Trotz?
Was that Lou or was that Garth Snow?
That's Lou. That's the first Lou year. He got him out of Washington right after they won the Cup.
Well, because it also helped that Trotz wanted out of Washington after that year. So,
It's
so very fucking funny, man. Like, I really want to know what happened there.
No kidding.
With Barry Trotz in Washington? When was this?
This was when Washington won in 2018.
Okay.
And then Barry Trotz immediately bailed.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was known that he wasn't going to re-sign there, and they went and won a cup anyway.
I wonder, that sounds like the kind of thing that's going to come out in somebody's memoir in 10 years.
Probably not Lou's, because he won't be around to write it. But, I mean, like, if he doesn't get another job, I think he just dies very quickly.
Maybe he'll write his memoirs.
Maybe.
I was going to say, considering we kept betting on Lou being the one to die in office, who's the next one up? Jim Rutherford?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, Brian Burke is kind of retired officially now that he's left his job as PWHLPA executive director.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's Rutherford. We were supposed to talk about something else, and I've forgotten what it was because we didn't make notes.
This is why we're supposed to have a sheet.
It wasn't that important. We're also like... How deep are we? Oh, yeah, we're like almost at time anyway.
We're almost at time.
Oh, draft lottery.
Oh, yep.
Yes,
that's right. We were going to have some fun because it's coming up on Monday.
Monday is going to be the draft lottery, folks. There are 16 teams who have been entered. Let me pull that up, Tankathon.
Yep, I got it up too. Do we all, maybe at the end, do we all want to hit that lottery simulator once and see who we'll get?
Well, let's start with this. So,
yeah.
Trevor, obviously, you are hoping for Vancouver to win one of the lotteries and move up.
First time ever.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if the first time Vancouver moves up in a lottery is they can only move up to like fifth or whatever?
Hey, you know what? It would put us ahead of Boston, and that's you know what? I'm satisfied with that. That is poetic.
It would also put you in front of Seattle.
Aside from Vancouver winning, what would be your favorite outcome?
Aside from them, I've got two in mind. Number one would be San Jose winning, just because I think they're very fun, and for them to keep getting better and better talent would be great.
No, not in the Pacific.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. And then, well, see, now you're going to make me regret saying my second one, because I was going to say Seattle, because I want my friend SJ to have some happiness.
Oh, now you're just sucking up.
That was already going to be my pick before you had to go and ruin it.
Fine.
So yeah, it sounds weird that I'm picking two teams within my division, but I want either fun or I want happiness.
Aw.
What outcomes do you not want to see? Like, what would be your least favorite outcome?
Boston, for 2011 reasons. Never forget. And then also the Rangers for 94 reasons. They can't have nice things. Neither of those franchises can have nice things. They don't deserve it.
It's true.
That's
actually, I might also throw.
Pick. That's
I might want
funny.
to throw Detroit a bone and give them a win, because they're the only other team aside from Vancouver who has never gone up in a draft lottery and has, for the most part, only gone down.
So obviously, SJ, you want Seattle to win, but aside from that, what is your top option?
I mean, I think it'd be fun to see Columbus move up. I don't think I would like to see anybody else win. I'm just a hater.
Respectable.
What would be your least favorite outcome?
So I definitely don't. Seattle is currently 6th. I definitely don't want Seattle to drop. We could drop to 8th, and that would make me sad. But barring that, I definitely don't want us to waste another high draft pick on Buffalo. I feel like we're just throwing talent away when we send it to Buffalo, and it's pointless. Like, we're just wasting time. We're wasting these players' time in Buffalo. And then I really don't want Boston to win. Desperately do not want Boston to win. Or Chicago, but Chicago is 2nd, so they probably will, and I should just,
be depressed about
it ahead of time, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. High five for Boston pick.
Yeah. Screw Boston.
So obviously, as a Montreal fan, I'm hoping for Calgary not to win the lottery, because then we would get a worse draft pick this year. Right now, we're in line to get Calgary's 16th overall pick. But if they win the lottery and move up to 6th, then we would get Florida's pick, wherever that ends up, and it could easily be 32nd. So the best outcome for Montreal is Calgary does not win the lottery, and we get Calgary's pick. But beyond that, I would like to see Detroit win. Not because I particularly want Detroit to win a lottery, but because I think it would be very funny if the only lottery Detroit ever wins is one that can only move them to 2nd. And I think that Red Wings fans would whine about that for a very long time.
I think it's also worth noting that this is looking like it's a fairly weak draft. That there's basically Schaefer and Misa at the top, who are considered to be like pretty good prospects. And then the next 8 guys are all kind of interchangeable.
Which is why the other team that I would like to see win is Pittsburgh, because they can get their requisite Pittsburgh is bad first overall pick, and maybe it won't actually be the best goddamn player in the world for once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next year, though, is going to be crazy. Because
next year
it's going to be the McKenna draft.
But we are going to see some teams do some stupid stuff to become as bad as possible.
Yeah,
I would also like to see San Jose retain the first overall pick. That's another reason why I picked Detroit. I think San Jose is doing a great job accruing talent, and also Seattle. I think it'd be good for Seattle to get that franchise guy.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice to get a Schaefer.
The team I don't want to see make the pick, you guys had said Boston, the Rangers, all of that is very true. I do not want to see I do really, really, really do not want to see the Ducks win, especially if they hire Joel Quinn.
Yeah, I was thinking that exact same thing.
And I'm not a big fan of Philadelphia winning because I just don't think Philadelphia deserves it. Just don't.
Not your city of brotherly love.
I mean, let's just call it revenge on Philly for stealing Eric Lindros. I think that was their only ever first overall.
Oh.
They never really got the pick, but they got the player.
When was that? How long a grudge is this?
I don't
This
really
is
care.
before I was born. Let's put it that way.
I'm just representing the constant complaints of the people of Quebec City because they need someone to stand up for them. They're not
Do
getting
they?
a PWHL. Well, they're not getting a PWHL team.
Oh, that
So.
is sad.
And SJ, for reference, I think that's 91 draft.
And then Eric Lindros sat out for a whole year demanding a trade.
Wow. What a dude.
And then
You should see the trade. You should see the trade offers.
No, you should see both trade offers.
I said offers for a reason.
Yeah.
This sounds like off-season content.
Yep.
He was traded to both the Flyers and the Rangers at the same time.
Uh-oh.
And they had to bring in an arbiter to determine which of the two deals was the actual real one.
Uh-oh.
Which tells you a little bit about why Quebec City no longer has a hockey team.
To be fair, they got a good return. It just didn't pay off till after they became the Colorado Avalanche.
They got the return that won them 2 Stanley Cups because they get back Forsberg and they get back the picks used to get Rob Blake and they get back the picks that eventually end up getting used to get Ray Bourque and they get the pick that gives them the player that they swap for a guy named Patrick Waugh.
Minor details.
Minor details.
Incredible.
The Steve
But don't tell
Dangle-
anyone, again, don't tell people from Quebec City that because they'll get a little pissy. This
They're
all
still-
happened in Colorado.
Still very mad about this whole thing.
They should be mad.
All right. Anything else we want to add? Oh yeah, Trevor. I'm going to press the Tankathon button. Why don't you do yours first?
Okay. All right. Ladies, gentlemen, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, your winners of the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery Simulator on my end. First overall, the San Jose Sharks. Second overall, SJ, you're going to love this. I'm going to bring my webcam over this for everyone who's here. And for the rest of you,
Seattle.
yeah, the Seattle Kraken go up 4 spots to number 2 overall.
That's probably the best that they're going to do in this whole exercise.
All right. Who wants to fire it next?
SJ, you got yours up?
Okay. Sim. Oh, Seattle.
No way.
No, I'm not even kidding. It really does say Seattle
For first overall?
for first overall, and then
Oh,
San Jose
man.
drops 1. That's very funny.
Who wins the other one?
So it was Seattle and San Jose.
Oh, Seattle. Oh, San Jose just got the second one. Oh, my
got
goodness.
sick. So they must. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
All right,
that's
Benjamin
very
takes
funny.
home.
Chicago and Boston.
Oh.
No! Burn it! Burn it with fire!
I'm clicking it. I know we said we were going to click it once, but I'm clicking it again.
Yeah,
That's right.
You have to.
No, it was worse. It's Philly and Buffalo now.
I would take that.
Oh, boo.
I would take that over Chicago, Boston.
San Jose and Chicago.
Oh.
Boston and San Jose. Chicago and Seattle. We'll
Okay.
take that one. There we
Okay.
go.
So the lesson here is Benjamin shouldn't do the draft
Yeah,
lottery.
no.
The
Benjamin
lesson
stays away
here
from
is
it.
Gary Bettman should rerun the draft lottery over and over until Seattle wins one of them.
That's right.
There you
how it
go,
works.
Gary. That's some professional advice to you from the people at the Neutral Zone Hotel. And speaking of the Neutral Zone Hotel, you have been listening to that very podcast, which is written, hosted, and produced by us, the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. You can hit us up at neutralzonehotel.com/Discord if you want to join our Discord. We are on Instagram, Bluesky, and YouTube at Neutral Zone Hotel. Give us 5 stars on the platform, thumbs up, smash like buttons, anything you need to do to say this was awesome. Thanks as always to our friend Emily Mowbray for designing our logo. And folks, we will talk to you next week. Take care. I love sad Sheldon Keefe, man. That's one of my favorite fucking things.